Hey, Blam here from SC2Strat.net, bringing you a strategy cast between EGIdrA and oGsMC over here in the blue. The point of this strategy cast is really to highlight the macroeconomics of the game, and to do that, what better than one of the top Zerg players out there in IdrA. So we'll be focusing on him primarily throughout the match. Although I'll try to bounce back and forth. I don't, do the classic cast that a lot of people do. Primarily want to highlight the strategy elements of the game, and the focus of this cast is to talk about macros. So we're going to speed it up just a little bit until we get a couple more moves going on here. You can see oGsMC down here in the mini-map sends out his scout. IdrA pushes out his first kind of scouting overlord, and the scout makes it into the base. We're going to slow it down about regular here. At this point, IdrA pushes out partially to scare off this probe. There's some pretty good worker micro happening here. And then he actually is going to lay down his first of many expansions in his macro domination of this game. So, like I said, some pretty good micro there from just a couple units. You can see him splitting his drones up to try to pick off OG's probe, or SMC's probe, I should say. And obviously the guy's just clicking all over the map. We look at the APM there. I mean, they're both up in the 250s there, right? Largely in part due to all that worker micro. So IdrA chases him. IdrA chases him away from his base. He splits back around and wants to keep his scouting going on. Meanwhile, IdrA does get his natural expansion. He's got a single drone mining gas, and he keeps up just a single Vesping geyser, or rather a single extractor on the first of his 3 bases, while he primarily goes after those minerals to keep up that healthy expansion early in the game. Getting some scouting of his own done over here. He sees the first gateway and the cyber go down, and kind of a distant pylon there. So these lings are going to chase this probe down and try to stop his scouting efforts. And IdrA's expansion has almost finished there, and he just continues to pump workers. Right. If we look at the worker count here, it actually does look like SMC pulled slightly ahead there, but IdrA's going to catch right back up as any good Zerg would. So he's got his first queen out, training his second queen. And getting those injects in, and looks like those Zerglings were able to finally finish off that probe. So SMC pushes down with 2 sentries and a zealot, and then he's going to go ahead and get his expansion. Meanwhile, IdrA's expansion is already up and humming, and IdrA has now taken over in the worker count. Like I said, the big focus in this match is really going to be all about macro, right? So at 5.5 minutes in, IdrA's got 2 bases, not saturated by any means, but pretty healthy, in drone count. He's working on his 30th drone there. He's got the 2 queens down, and actually he's already laid down his 3rd hatchery, right? So how often a game do you have 3 bases, or the 3rd base being constructed at 6 minutes? I'd reckon to say for most players that is not that often. And then we do have this Overlord sneaking over here to get some vision, and that actually turns out to be pretty key later in the match. So he's got a single gas saturated here. I do believe we'll see him get another gas down here shortly. But when you're expanding this aggressively this early in the match, it's really those minerals you're gonna have to keep going, right? And that's a very important part of any macro game for any player, right? Is the balance you strike between harvesting those minerals and how much gas you choose to do, right? Because every drone you pull away to mine that gas, while gas can often seem limited supply later in the game, is going to be that fewer minerals you have, and when you're expanding this aggressively, you got to stay on top of those minerals. So one part I missed here, and of course you guys can go to SC2Strat.net, download the SC2 replay file for yourself, and watch this at your own pace from your own angles. But he did have a Zergling scout over here, saw all these sentries, and at that point, I'm sure he's probably going to get Roach at some point in the game, but that is when he laid the Roach Warren down, and now you can see him rallying a couple Roaches out. So he got his third queen there. Not sure if he's training anymore, but queen at each base. Got them pretty readily, pretty quick. Another huge part of a Zerg macro game is having those queens out. I do believe this queen over here, he actually pushed from this base so that as soon as this popped, he was able to get those injects off right away. So he sees this, Jesus, that Void Ray coming in, and he saw that due to the advantage of this scout here and actually having that tower vision there, just out of the corner of his eye, caught it right here in the mini-map. And because of that, he knew, hey, I'm going to lay down a couple spore crawlers. And that's why he pushed up that other queen to help out with the air defense there. So, gonna go ahead and get that Hydralisk Den down, since he knows that oGsMC is going to have some air in his army, and make sure he can fight that early on there. And gonna get the additional spore crawler there to help that base out. So at this point, I mean, 60 drones to 47 probes, just hugely focused on the economic advantage as any good Zerg player should, and then kind of taking control there, right? So SMC is going to push in here. All he's really got are these spore crawlers and his queen, so he moves his third queen down there to try to pick him off a little bit. But, you know, SMC is a pro. He's noticed that. He's going to pick it right up and continue doing some damage there, right? Pushing another queen down, training more queens, and I know he's probably got some Hydralisks in the cocoons here, right? So 2 Hydras, 1 queen, gonna pull in next to that spore crawler to use that to his advantage there. And even though, let's see where the guys are at in terms of army, right? Even though oGsMC is way ahead in army right now, he was able to hold off that push. Well, he lost a few queens, some damage was done there, but you can see the economics are just definitely tilted in IdrA's favor. And like I said at the start of the video, that's what we came here to watch, was the macro game here. So actually see the resource count up there. Let's take it back to the units and keep tabs on that. So training up some roaches, training up some hydras, getting his creep spread on, tons of creep being spread all over the map. And his 4th base goes down. So here we are, just 12 minutes game time, and IdrA's already securing his 4th base, and whereas oGsMC is just now getting his 3rd, right? So just insane amount of macro going on here. Let's take a look at the APM. Whoops, for a moment here. And you can see actually oGsMC is got the higher APM. It doesn't really matter when you're using your hotkeys and things like that correctly, right? You can get quite a bit done without jamming the keyboard. So, you know, got the army comprised of hydras and roaches here. He's kind of pushing down to his borders, seeing what he can protect. Probably doesn't like seeing these phoenixes come right on top of his roaches there. So he's going to move them back and bring these hydras in. Got the 4th bay finishing there. Finally got his double gas saturation at all bases. You can see his income is starting to pile up there a bit, but still just a crazy amount of units of production going on. You can see IdrA's at 172 at 200, whereas oGsMC's at 136 at 150. And building quite an impressive army there. Now he does have the what are those things called? The ventricle sacks, or he's got the ventricle sacks and the speed upgrade for the Ovies. So he's going to move him in with his army here to see if he can get a little drop play in or use that as necessary. One thing I really like about IdrA's Overlord usage is, hey, wherever I got an Overlord, I may as well be spreading creep, right? Generating that creep. So here's kind of the first big skirmish of the game. You can see IdrA is not able to get his army over the wall like he'd like. They get trapped in SMC's force fields. I didn't even know you could have that many units in such a small area trapped inside those force fields. So pretty incredible force field play by SMC. Finally, some of them start to break loose. The hydras do have the range upgrade. But unfortunately we got our friend Mr. Colossi up here raining down on him. But he was able to actually kind of get the upper hand just slightly in that skirmish. He's going to go ahead and pick that army back up and proceed how he wanted to proceed. Pushing these guys down here to probably do some harassment down at this base, while these OVs float in here to see what they can do there. So, really nice tactic, splitting his army to the wind there. Another fact I really like, as soon as he dropped off that army, he starts generating that creep right away just to kill that area. Dropping these Hydras down here to do some damage to SMC's expansion. Picking those roaches back up. Size is not worth it. Gonna get out of dodge. Again, spread and creep. Just contaminating the soil wherever he goes. He is able to to knock that expansion down. Fortunately, he's just got roaches in that OB, so he can't drop out any Hydras to pick off that Void Ray. But again, just looking back at the production tab here, I mean, just his macro is all over it, right? Still working on the 4 bases now, just to SMC's 2. So the economy boost that IdrA's seen from that is ultimately going to win the game. I mean, it's the way you macro the game, and I know I'm trying to beat a dead horse here, but that's what this strategy cast is all about. Is having that superior macro and just seeing the benefit that gives you, right? Another huge advantage, obviously, of generating creep wherever you can with those overlords is just the speed increase it gives your units, right? So with 4 active hatcheries, he's just able to replenish his army so damn quick, while SMC is working on getting his 3rd base back. Alright. So now he's bringing some corruptors in the mix. Probably didn't like that Colossus raining down on them too much there. You can see he's got +2 attack for both his roaches and his Hydras on the missile attack there, and +2 attack from SMC here as well. So SMC maneuvering that death ball around there. IdrA's still making drop plays, and he lays his 5th base, right? So just dominating this entire half of the map. 18 minutes in, 5 bases up. Just an incredible amount of macroeconomics there. When we keep a look on the production tab here, you know, what 4 active with a fifth hatchery coming online bases affords him is, you know, his ability. Just got 8 roaches training, 3 Hydras training, right? He's just able to replenish that army so quickly, and you can tell even as he's over here macroing things around, he's hitting those hotkeys, training those units. We got 17 more roaches going to come join his pile here, and that's just something you can't do unless your macro game is spot on. So just amazing thing of pro players is their ability to multitask. And that's what any player should be working on doing, right? You get as many balls in the air as you can, have as many plates spinning at one time as you can. While you're fighting, while you're macroing, make sure you're getting those injects off. Make sure you're training those new units up. 5 more roaches here, 2 more Hydras going to join the fray. You know, he's getting his pathogen glands upgrades. And just so beast with the macro game. Those Lings were able to take down that gold that SMC was trying to secure. 13 more Hydras, 16 more Hydras going to join the fray as he macros those corruptors, or micros those corruptors around. He's still right on top of that macro game. 18 more Lings going to join his fray. 16, 15, 13 more Hydras. I mean, on five mining bases. Everything rallied in. Queens at all bases, getting those injects off. You just can't stop a Zerg player at this point, and it's all because IdrA is just so good at his macro game, right? If you look at the mini-map here, you can just see the flood of new units coming in, and at this point it's got to feel pretty overwhelming for SMC. Let's take a look at the army right here. I mean, just practically you know, double, almost triple the army spend, right? 4250 to 1600 just in minerals, 2125 to 850 in gas. Just an insanely well macroed game. So that's it for me. Hopefully we're able to highlight just the importance of macro and the timing that a pro player uses, right? At 6 minutes into this game, he was laying his 3rd hatchery. I mean, that's just insane from the standpoint of your average player. So take a look at this match. Head over to sc2strat.net so you can download the SC2 replay file, and we'll have a small write-up on this match as well. And use an example like this in your own, practicing the mechanics on working to improve your macro game. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching, guys, and good luck out there.